Hi, Humanities kids. Today I want to read to you a little bit from the Iliad. I've been having some major technical difficulties, and this is my third attempt. Apparently, Canvas does not like to allow me to record long videos. So I tried it the first time I read for 23 minutes and it didn't go. So I thought, well, I'll do 10-minute increments. That didn't save either. So we'll see if you get how much reading you get. So when I teach this face to face, what I would do is give a little introduction and then I would read to you when the bell rang. Whatever we didn't get read would be homework. So that's going to be the same idea. Whatever I don't get read will be your homework to read. So it's going to be a little bit longer than the 20 minutes today. It's not a difficult book or read. It's an epic poem and it's by Homer, so it's medium. I think it's a lot easier than the Odyssey because there are a few less characters. When they mention characters, you don't really need to know that much about them. So for tonight's book one, it's going to be Achilles and Agamemnon, and they're going to be having a fight. Everybody else can be kind of described as adjectives of those two. There's one guy who is a seer and he can kind of see the future and the past. And so he's got a name, but you can just think of him as the guy who can see things. So the only character names it's important for you to know today is Agamemnon and Achilles. I have in the module background information and pictures to help you from the movie Troy. So you can refer to that as we're going. Also, if you scroll down, you'll see the reading, and I'd like you to follow along with the reading so that you get more out of it. It actually will help you. I will read it in a way that I would read it in class that will help you in understanding it. So we are, if you go down to the scroll part, there's a title page called the Iliad, and then there's a page with the people. If you want to refer back to that, you can. There's a section for the Greeks and a section for the Trojans. We're not going to talk about well, they'll mention the Trojans, but we're not going to meet any today. This is just going to be about the Greeks, and there's two Greek men that are fighting with each other and what they're fighting over. So you'll be on page 126, and please work. Book one, the quarrel, the oath, and the promise. Anger be now your song, immortal one, Achilles' anger, doomed and ruinous, that caused the Greeks loss on bitter loss, and crowded brave souls into the undergloom, leaving so many dead men, carrion for dogs and birds, and the will of Zeus was done. Begin it when the two men first contending broke with one another, the Lord Marshal Agamemnon and Prince Achilles. So Agamemnon is the commander of all of the Greek troops, and Achilles is a Greek commander. So the highest is Agamemnon, and everybody's underneath him. And Achilles is a very brave soldier, and people love him. And Agamemnon is pretty much a horrible human being. Okay. Among the gods, who brought this quarrel on? Apollo, the son of Zeus by Leto. Agamemnon angered Apollo, so he made a burning wind of plague rise in the army. Rank and file sickened and died for the ill their chief had done in despising a man of prayer. So Agamemnon ticked off Apollo. This priest, Chryses, had come down to the ships with gifts, no end of ransom for his daughter. On the golden staff he carried the gods' white bands, and sued for the grace from all the men of all Greece, the two leaders most of all. So this priest comes down and says, "Hey, O captains Menelaus and Agamemnon, and you other Greeks in the army, the gods who hold Olympus, may they grant you plunder of Priam's town and a fair wind home. But let me have my daughter back for ransom as you revere Apollo, son of Zeus." So he's like, "Hey, when you plundered that city, one of the girls you took was my daughter, and here is a whole bunch of gold and good stuff, and if you would please give her back." So he doesn't say just give her back because you're a bunch of horrible people. He says, "I'll give you stuff in exchange for her." The soldiers who want the plunder, right? They want the gold. They were like, "Oh, yeah, 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 do it. Behave well to the priest," they said, "and take the ransom." But Agamemnon would not. It went against his desire, and brutally he ordered the man away. "Let me not find you here here by the long ships, loitering this time or returning later. Old man, if I do, the staff and ribbons of the god will fail you. Give up the girl. I swear she will grow old at home in Argos, far from her own country, working my loom and visiting my bed. Leave me in peace and go while you can in safety. So not only does he not say just like, no, thank you, he's like being really mean. So harsh he was, the old man feared and obeyed him, in silence trailing away by the shore of the tumbling, clamorous, whispering sea. And he prayed and prayed again as he withdrew to the god whom silken braided Leto bore. Oh, hear me, dear Apollo, master of the silver bow, protector of Tenedos and the holy towns. Apollo, if to your liking ever in any grove I roofed a shrine or burnt thigh bones and fat upon your altar, bullock or goat flesh, let my wish come true. Your arrows on the Greeks for my tear. So this priest is saying, dear Apollo, please kill the Greeks. They were really, 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 really mean to me, and they won't give me back my daughter. When he heard this, Apollo walked with storm in his heart from Olympus' crest, quiver and bow at his back, and the bundled arrows clanged on the sky behind as he rocked in his anger, descending like night itself. Apart from the ships, he halted and let fly, and the bowstrings slammed as the silver bow sprang, rolling in thunder away. Pack animals were his first target, and dogs, but soldiers too, soon felt transfixing pain from his hard shots. Empires burned night and day. So I would say, is it possible that a group of army men in one spot for 10 years would probably have some bad hygiene practices and create the plague? Probably. 9 days the arrows of the god came down broadside upon the army. On the 10th, Achilles called all ranks to assembly. Hera, whose arms are white as ivory, moved him to it. She took pity on the Greeks dying. All being mustered in one place and quiet, Achilles, fast in battle as a lion, rose and said. So there Achilles is like, all right, all of us soldiers, let's get together and see if we can figure this out. Achilles says, Agamemnon now, I take it the siege is broken. We are going to sail. And even so, may not leave death behind. If war spares anyone, disease will take him. So he says, I guess we have to go home because we're all going to die with this plague. So, yeah. We might, though, ask some priest or some diviner, even some fellow good at dreams, for dreams come down from Zeus as well. Why all this anger from the god Apollo? Has he some quarrel with us for failure of sacrifices? Would mutton burned or smoking goat flesh make him lift the plague? Putting the question down, he sat. And Calchas came forward, wisest by far of all who scanned the flight of birds. They thought that birds would tell them the future, like my grandma would say, oh, there's birds on the wire, it's going to rain. I don't know. Okay. He knew what was, what had been, what would be. Calchas, who brought Greek ships to Troy by the diviner's gift Apollo gave him. Now for their benefit, he said, Achilles, dear to Zeus, it is on me you call to tell you why Apollo is angry. Well, I can tell you. Are you listening? Swear by heaven that you will back me and defend me, because I fear my answer will enrage a man in power in Greece, one whose word Greek troops obey. A great man in his rage is formidable for underlings, though he may keep it down. He cherishes the burning in his belly until a reckoning day. Think well if you will save me. So Calchas is like, I know, but I'm scared to tell you because that guy, Agamemnon, is going to get mad. And Achilles says, courage. Tell what you know, what you have light to know. I swear by Apollo, the Lord God, to whom you pray when you uncover truth, never while I draw breath, while I have eyes to see, shall any man upon this beachhead dare lay hands on you. Not one of all the army, not Agamemnon, if it is he you mean, even though he is the head of all the Greeks. Calchas, the diviner, took heart and said, no failure in hecatombs or vows is held against us. It is the man of prayer whom Agamemnon treated with contempt. He kept his daughters, spurned his gifts. For that man's sake, the archer visited grief upon us, and will again. Relieve the Greeks of this plague he will not, until the girl who turns the eyes of men, the priest's daughter, shall be restored to her own father freely, with no demand for ransom, and until then we offer up some offerings. Then only can we persuade Apollo to lift the plague. He finished and sat down. The son of Atreus, ruler of the great plain, Agamemnon, rose furious. Round his heart resentment welled, his eyes shone out like licking fire. Then with a long and boding look at Calchas, he growled at him. It's 10 minutes. I'm going to stop there and continue in a second video. Stay tuned.